Okay, my outstanding friends, this is going to be a hoot. Have you ever heard of the Scopes monkey trial? They didn't try a monkey. They tried a guy for teaching evolution. Against the law. It was against the law to teach evolution. And I'm going to go through this thing with you because this is just absolutely stunningly hilarious. And the change now is if you speak about evolution in a negative way in school, you're in trouble. I mean, really, literally in trouble. They label you and demean you and basically destroy you for religious beliefs now. Back then, it was exactly the opposite. You know, there's always a before and there's an after and then there's a middle. Let's look and try to figure this thing out. Did anybody stand up? Did anybody say anything? Clarence Darrow defended. He was the big guy, and this was a media circus, I guess. Anyway, I hope this happens again because it's time for this exact same thing, only a little bit twist to it this time, and a lot more evidence. The evidence is in. Now it's the mind. All right, this is one small step for humankind, one giant leap for the human mind. Okay, my friends, like I say, this is the Scopes monkey trial. And there was an opinion that God was in control of everything, and to say that God didn't create humanity was like a sin. And it just wasn't allowed. It was against the law to say there was evolution, we all came from pond scum and then just turned into people, and God was not part of that sequence, which infuriated these early people that were taught that you respected God and you know, all of the things that the religious things, let's just call it religious things of all nature. So evolution just was not allowed. You can't talk about it. Well, now it's basically the other side. And this is what happened to me, was when I discovered the mud fossils. And I realized that the history we're told wasn't true. And when I discovered these were giants, and then I had them DNA tested and CAT scanned and everything else, I became suppressed so badly that I might as well have been arrested and put in jail and locked up and told to keep quiet. Almost no difference whatsoever. Now, I have fought back for the last close to 15 years. In the last 10 years, pretty voraciously, it still doesn't have any effect. Well, very little. But I am seeing people talk about it. But academia is trying to spin it into a bunch of fringe crazy people. And that's how they can keep us off to the sides. So my point is, if we don't have a debate, the people that really want to teach the truth cannot teach that truth. They will be destroyed in their careers, in their lives, in their homes, by their peers. Now, I am going to explain to you how I know this for a fact. When I first brought this evidence out, I mean, it's undisputed. You can't dispute it. It's DNA, it's CAT scans, it's specimens, it's history, it's documentation, it's everything. Specimens, it's here, in blood. So there's no saying it's not here. And I had some teachers contact me early on and say they wanted to know a little more and they wanted to get involved and they wanted to understand this, and I did. And some of them tried to sign on to it at their schools and were so put against it, they stopped communicating and they just shut down. And you can't, you won't keep your job. You're not going to get anywhere. It's not going to help you at all. It's not going to help you. It's just going to fight against a brick wall. It's just, and you're done. And in politics is a lot like that too. You try to stand up for something, they kill you. You're out. Put another guy up there to say the same thing we want him to say. So this is academia. The only way, the only way we can get out of this is to have an open discussion of the evidence that I have presented, the DNA, the CAT scans, the specimens, the hair follicles, the meat, everything that preserved in a manner that was unexpected. And Yale did write a paper on it, exceptional preserved soft tissue fossilization, after I presented them with all my work. A year later, they did write a paper, basically exactly what I told them. And, but it's now, they want only jellyfish and stuff, no giants, which goes against them, and it goes into the God realm in religious. That is taboo. Taboo. In academia, you start talking that stuff, and you literally might as well walk out the door and go home, because you're going to be destroyed. That's my opinion. I could be wrong. Maybe they'll say, "Oh yeah, let's talk about God." I don't think so. And God wrote all about this. He says there will be false teachers, and their destruction does not sleep. And that's what we got now. And it's not just one or two or 6 or 10,000. It's just everyone, every single one, 100%. Zero. And I'm talking zero. I'm not talking 1 or 2 or 3 have come on board and fought against the system. No, zero. You don't fight against the system because they won't last more than 30 seconds. Mary Schweitzer discovered soft tissue in some dinosaur fossils, which that's newer stuff. That's nothing. I have the mud fossils. That goes way back before her stuff. And my stuff is soft tissue preservation as well. But when she brought that up, they said, no, you can't say that, because our timeline says that would have been 400 million years ago, and you're saying it's preserved. You can't say that. And they fired the guy that worked with her. And they really basically caused her a lot of heartaches. Last time I saw anything about her, she says, I don't care what they say about me. And that was the headline. So you don't get off easy with academia. They don't let anybody go. They're never going to let me go. The only possibility we have to get truth out there is for you to stand up and say, write to these professors, write them, say, look, we want some truth here. This is done. PBS should have Jeffrey Brown, and I'm hoping it will. I haven't approached him yet, but I'm going to tomorrow. To moderate this debate between Professor Blight and myself, and Derek Briggs, and their anatomists, and their biologists, and their chemists, and their physicists, and their historians, and academics of every stripe. Get them together. I don't want to hear, I'm not an expert at that, you're going to have to go somewhere else. No, I'm going to Yale, who denied me, and now I want that interaction. Get them all. I don't care, you get 50 of them. That's fine with me. I looked at a lot of courses at Yale. I looked at Professor Shankar's quantum physics, because I do that too. I work in the subatomic realm with light. And the first thing he said to his class is, don't worry about it. Nobody understands quantum. All you got to do is say what I say, and then go back and spread your ignorance everywhere. And that's the words out of his mouth.
Roger.
Yeah. You see this? I do light research too. I have everything that they have at Yale. And this was at the Fermilab. This is from Fermilab. That's their pictures of the particles they have seen. A dark one with a glowy edge that never changes size, called a fixed particle. And this one, which is a point particle, can get big and get small. We found them in our light research where we accelerated light. None of this is supposed to be possible. This is light research we did, and it's accelerating the light. That's acceleration. And here it's fission and fusion. The black and the white particle from the Dirac neutrinos split apart, and here they come back together. It's muons, muon neutrino, electron neutrino together. The muon goes on its own, the electron showers. That's light acceleration. Now, here's what Yale had to say, because I took my work to University of Geneva. I showed them all my stuff, and eventually they agreed, yes, you can do all this with CMOS. It started out, no, you can't do it. Yes, we're looking at light. Now, they had to harden CMOS, so they had to shut down for 3 years to upgrade to use the CMOS. Now here's what they say here at Yale, and they did use it and they're getting better results now, but CMOS, they said, no, you can't use it, it'll destroy the CMOS. I said, no, we're using light. You have to harden it somehow. You have to get it so you're only getting the light particles. You're getting the big chunks. All right, my particles are light. It's made to see light. It's not made to see big bombs. And they're using bombs. So anyway, here's Shankar has to say. He's a nice guy. I don't have anything against him. He's just being honest. He told the kids, you know, we don't know anything about what we're doing. Listen.
So this is a very exciting day for me, because today we're going to start quantum mechanics, and that's all we'll do till the end of the term. Now, I got bad news and good news. The bad news is that it's a subject that's kind of hard to follow intuitively, and the good news is that nobody can follow it intuitively. Richard Feynman, one of the big figures in physics, used to say no one understands quantum mechanics. So in some sense the pressure is off for you guys, because I don't get it and you don't get it and Feynman doesn't get it. The point is, here's my goal. Right now I'm the only one who doesn't understand quantum mechanics. In about 7 days, all of you will be unable to understand quantum mechanics. Then you can go back and spread your ignorance everywhere else. That's the only legacy a teacher can want. So,
well, I can't disagree with him, because nobody does understand quantum mechanics except me. I understand it because it's dipole electron flood theory. You can't stay with the standard model and say you understand quantum physics, because it doesn't work. The new model is this right here, and it's mine. It's called dipole electron flood theory. It covers everything, and the only two particles that exist is the black and the colored one, which normally you would consider a white, black and a white. That's nothing but mass, and that's nothing but energy. It has no weight whatsoever that I can find, and that one has all the weight, and it's actually dark matter. And here's the only particles that exist, these two. Normally they're together, minimum they're together and tight, which that's heat. It's not electricity, it's heat. Electricity is just the white part. That's what you fill your car up with. If you had an electric car and you filled it up with that white part, the change in the weight doesn't happen. There's no change. It doesn't change in weight. But then you can drive 500 miles from whatever you put in there, but it has no weight. It just has energy. These are photons, and they have a field surrounding the whole thing. So when they hit something, they bounce back. Same light is hitting here, and we're getting all these different colors. Why? I'm just hitting it with the same white light. Everywhere it's getting hit by the exact same white light. Why is this red and that's blue? The reason is, well, how they made this was they put in different dyes and matter that has a different hardness. Basically, it's all it is. This is like a pillow. You hit it, it goes boing. You hit this one, it goes bing. You hit this one, it goes bing. That's the speed of the vibration, but it's also a spin. All of that work we did with the dipole electron flood theory, this right here, that's the particles, exact same ones they found. So you got Yale saying we don't know what we're doing. I'm saying take a look at this. Refusal on that side too. Refusal for everything. And admitting they don't know what they're doing. Why shouldn't they have to look at this? Why shouldn't they, their obligation in life is to their students, which is a fiduciary duty. It means the students have to do exactly what they're told to do. They have no say in it. And the teachers are supposed to be working in their best interest. And I says, I don't know what I'm doing. You'll never know what you're doing. Don't worry about it. Go home and tell everybody else you don't know what you're doing, or tell them you know what you're doing when you don't know what you're doing. And that's exactly what happens in academia. They have no idea about any of this stuff now. Okay, my friends, another shocker du jour. Breakthrough gravity explanation is a step closer to the theory of everything. Well, Mudfossils is the theory of everything. Everything came from biology, but everything, even biology, came from the white particle and the black particle, which is the muon neutrino and the electron neutrino. And the only one of those that has virtually any mass at all is the black one, which is a muon neutrino. And that is the source of gravity, and it is dark matter. Okay, here it is right here. Classical physics and general relativity describe gravity really well. Not actually, to be honest, but not the quantum realm. So far, the two theories have proven irresolvable, yet the universe exists quite merrily with both in it. So scientists believe there has to be a way to make them play nicely. Yes, it's called dipole electron flood theory, and it does prove to be the theory of everything, which includes mud fossils as well. All right, this is the theory of everything right there. Dipole electron flood theory. That's what the quantum world looks like. The black is dark matter. We've never seen it because it's surrounded by white matter, which bounces back at you. This doesn't absorb, it doesn't emit, and it doesn't reflect. It's just a sucker. It sucks these white particles to it. The Earth is primarily composed of dark matter. Dark matter is the only thing that has substance. It's the only thing that has substance. The white has no substance. The white is just energy. It has no mass, it has no weight, it's just substance. But it's equal to the black. And 1,839 of these white particles surrounding, I believe 1,839 of the black balls, which are, each one of those never changes size. They're called fixed particles. This is known by the labs. They understand that black one is a fixed particle, never changes size. It can't get bigger, can't get smaller, and it has all the mass. They know these can get bigger and smaller, and they have no weight that they can determine. And that's directly from Fermilab. That's what they claim, and I claim that as well. Now, we started with particles of light. They started with these. So when they smash their particle colliders together, they have two big balls of like this. And when they hit, they just go flying every which way. And you get down to the tiniest particles, yeah, absolutely. But you also get chunks like this and a mix of everything, and they don't know what to make of it. The smallest particles make up everything else. So it's just the two smallest ones. The only two particles that exist are these. That's it, done, case closed. The dark muon is the central core particle, which has all the weight. All right, this is in a couple of minutes you can learn all this. The dark muon, a muon neutrino, fixed size, solid black particle, never change size, and do not emit, absorb, or reflect. But they attract the white particles very, very strongly. That's called a strong nuclear force, because these are what's in the nucleus. It's a strong nuclear force. All flavors of muons are exactly the same size. Just one size fits all. The color is the spin rate, and blue is the fastest and red the slowest. This doesn't have any colors, but it will be attached to a color depending upon its speed. And this is the propellant. That's what it looks like to me. Now the color is the spin rate, and blue is the fastest and red the slowest. So the spins. Now muons are the dark matter. They're dark matter, and they are gravity that we have been searching for. We are normally unable to see dark matter. You can never see it. It's inside of here. You look, you say, there's no dark matter there. If you could get into the inside, that's where it is. You can't get there. The only way you can do is smash into bits, or do what we did, see them in the light, which I will show you. All right. The dark muon core is always, always surrounded by white electron coating, so we never have seen inside to where the dark matter is. Until it's separated, like we did. We separated it and had a black particle sitting right on top of the white, so we could see they're there. That's the only time you can see them. This simply blocks the white, so we see the black balls of the white shower. I will show you. The white electron, as I'm going to show you, can change sizes depending upon how strongly they concuss. The harder they concuss, the bigger they blow up. At rest, the white bits seem to almost disappear into almost nothing. But in flight, these tiny white fields, and that's all they are, is a field. It's just like two magnets. You bump them and they oppose each other. You'll feel it like hitting something, but there's nothing there. So all it is a field. They force themselves through the fields of the other molecules, pushing all those fields out of the way. They push back. The particles of dust even light fields as they pass by, which slows them down. So light does slow down. That I can prove that too. And it speeds up in the right condition, which is a Venturi. Every single particle is surrounded by a field. In flight, it causes the particle field duality. So you get the particle has the field surrounding it, so you see the field, but it's caused by the particle field. All right? So they always refer to it as the particle field duality, which has always been referred to. The particle contains the fixed black muon carrier part called a boson. I don't even know if they call them that anymore. They keep changing names. And the boson is fixed to the white electron. These two are glued together. Virtually, they call them gluons. Is fixed to the white electron neutrino part because of fermion, which has the field energy. So this has the field energy. That has all the push. So that's dark matter and dark energy. No. All white opposes all other whites. They hate each other. Whites stay away from me, stay away from me. All black parts attract white parts really strong. And they form balls, the black in the center, and the white, it coats around it. The dark matter only pushes or sucks the white electrons. So you can use the dark matter to push it, yes, when you're making light coming out of the laser. Or if it's sitting there as a particle like the Earth in space, it sucks the white electrons. But one way or the other, it's electric energy, and it's either sucking to the Earth ground, or it's light being pushed by that black particle. The white particle itself, just only thing it wants to do is get back to the black. So the black core is so attractive, it pulls more white particles against the core, but are not allowed in because the correct number of electrons is already fulfilling, making it stable. That's what stability is. You get just enough. You add too many extra, it says, no, get out of here. I don't want you here. That's an isotope on the upper end. If you take too many away, you still have the same atom, but it's smaller, it doesn't have enough, so it wants more. And those are called isotopes. I'm getting a little too deep into this now, but anyway, these are the only two particles that exist. I just told you what they are. And together they make the gluon. They will never be apart from each other, except for cosmic radiation, for some other things you can separate these, and creating electricity. That's electricity, lightning, static, that's this part only. Together they're heat and mass. And in a configuration like this, moving, they're photons. That's a photon. Almost all the emission from the sun is these and these, and sometimes molecules, smaller molecules, helium, hydrogen. Now, this goes back to when I was in the Army. I was in nuclear Nike Hercules missiles. Now, and I took a great interest in physics. And my conclusion was, after working, and I went top to bottom on this, not just quick. The transfer of energy, all transfer of energy is from light to atomic vapor. That's it right there. That's atomic vapor. That makes up everything. All energy and all matter actually starts with this. There's nothing but this. Nothing but that. These particles are the base particles. These two particles here are the only two particles that exist in the universe. Your eyeballs are made of these. All right, and I said there was only two types of energy, basically. The intermolecular forces, which is dipole-dipole interactions, polar and nonpolar. And then I went through all the different laws and all this stuff, wrote all kinds of papers on it. I went so deep, there was no deeper to get. You see this? This is not 15 minutes worth of work. This, and what happened was, I showed this stuff isn't right. It's just not right. And my professor, who was, he was an idiot, he made it so hard that virtually everybody dropped out of the course. And I wanted an A for all my effort. I put so much effort into that course. And he said, no, you're going to get a B+. I've never given anybody an A. I said, you're going to give me an A. And he said, no, I'm not. I said, yes, you are. And I made him, I said, we're going to calculate out the dipole molecular moment of a certain polar molecule. And I wanted to know, in angstrom units, the dipole molecular moment regions in that polar molecule. I laid it out in front of me. He said, all right, I'll give you the A. I tell you, I found academia is absolutely horrendous to work with. That's why I got out of it. I started my own business and other things, but it was all electronics, and it was a lot of fun. But I did a lot of the work. I did everything. I didn't guess at anything. These are all the different water equivalents and heat of neutralization and heat of solution, heat of reaction, all the different calculations, and then I figured it out into energy, the different energy from the mixes and the heats and and then turned it into electricity and voltage and amperage and all that stuff. Everything, all power is electric. Everything's electric power. Once you get to the end of it, it's all electric power. There's nothing left. And that's it right there, dipole electron flood theory. I've had this theory since I got out of the Army, 1970. And so this is not new to me, but I can't get anybody to pay any attention, which is the case in virtually everything now. And there's an echo chamber in academia, and you say what they tell you to say, or you get failed, basically. Okay, so let's see what we know about the Scopes monkey trial. Now that goes back 100 years ago to 1925. And it was extremely publicized, and they would not allow the teaching of evolution. They said that's ridiculous. Don't destroy our kids' minds with that stuff and turn them away from God. You people are destroying our children. And they made a law that you couldn't teach evolution, that you could only teach about God. So, of course, they challenged the law. And this one professor or teacher was charged with teaching evolution. And they went on trial. And the two top lawyers in the world took it on. It was all about Charles Darwin's theory of evolution. Now, here's the key. This was to bring about a discussion, which is what we want. I would like to have a discussion right now about the stuff I have that 100% supports creation, but it supports it in the most extreme way. Dragons and gigantic gods and giants and bodies in floating in space and all that kind of stuff actually did occur, and I show the evidence to support every word I'm saying. Now, that discussion will not be allowed because it upends academia. Now, academia wanted to upend religion, which they did, and they made it so that if you speak about religion in their ivy-covered walls, you will be literally destroyed. I don't care if they say, oh, no, that's fine, you could talk about it. You go in there and start talking about it against what everything else says, because it just changes everything instantly. It's like that. They will destroy you, they'll fail you, and say he didn't say what we told him to say, so he's a failure. Now, I want to have this discussion in an open thing. The guy from Yale, Professor Blight, was on TV the other night saying, we want honesty, we want truth, we want something we can trust. from our historians. We need to change our way of thinking. If new evidence comes up, these are exactly his words, exactly what he said. We want to have trust in our educators. And that right now, if they won't discuss with me my evidence, there is no trust. There is no trust anymore from academia until they discuss. Now, they may say, no, that you're wrong because of this, that, or the other thing, but they have to do some investigation. They have spent billions of our dollars doing research against these kind of things that I'm presenting. I just want to spend a couple of hours and a few $100s to produce, to validate what I'm saying one way or the other. Say, no, that's not right, or it is true. But you have to look at the evidence. It has to be an open, fair, and free discussion on the internet with enough people they can see it. And that's what I want done. And this was about the monkey trial, and they found the guy guilty of teaching evolution, but then it was overturned, and they charged him $100 for going against the law that said you can't teach evolution. Now it's virtually the other side. There's no law that says you can't teach mythology. But if you do, you're considered outside of the realm of people that can be heard from. You will be completely cut off from the rest of society, which is what happened to me. And everybody will treat you like you just shouldn't be talked to because you just are saying stuff that they don't want to hear. And I just had a conversation just a few minutes ago with somebody the same attitude. And it annoys the hell out of me that they won't even look, but they condemn the message. They condemn the evidence before looking at it. And that's exactly what happened to me from every university, and Yale was the absolute worst of the worst. See, this is where they say there's a scientific theory, and then there's a religious theory. Well, I go with theory. I'm not saying one is religious and one's not. If the evidence is there, the evidence is there. But here's their evidence. Divine creation of man as taught by the Bible was crazy. World attention focused on the trial proceedings. But here's what they say about... Hold on. Now, I have to admit, it is hard to account for the diversity of the living things on this world. It's staggering. More than 2 million existing species of organisms. That's not even a start. They got to go into the bacteria. Now, and then they go on and on and on and on about the bacteria measures less than 1,000th of a millimeter diameter, stately sequoia, up to 100 meters tall, these sequoias. It's just impossible that all that could be invented by just a snap of the fingers by God. I understand where they're coming from that. However, and they're saying they can live in almost any kind of things, and we all come from, even us, come from giant tube worms discovered near living hydrothermal vents. I mean, it's just crazy. Now, the virtually infinite variations of life are the fruit of the evolutionary process. They just keep mushrooming out into, and they do change. I'm not saying evolution doesn't happen. I'm just saying creation happened too. Now, all living creatures are related by descent from common ancestors. All living creatures. I don't necessarily say that. They're all from God, yes, which is a common ancestor. Humans and other mammals descend from shrew-like creatures that lived more than 150 million years ago. Mammals, birds, reptiles, amphibians, and fishes share as ancestors aquatic worms that lived 600 million years ago. We're all made from worms. And all plants and animals derive from bacteria-like microorganisms originated more 3 billion years ago. This is just not true. Well, let me put it this way. I can't say when they came about and how they came about. But the human being, giant creatures I have right now point to the descriptions that were in the Bible of giants in the earth in those days and after that. And virtually everything else I've found, the dragons, everything is what was in the Bible. Even Mars, Venus, the things that are in space, all of that has been corroborated as being true. So, did we come from slimy little aquatic worms 600 million years ago? I don't think so. And I would like to have been at this trial, and I would like to have the new trial. So I say the trial was rigged. There's new evidence. We need a new trial.